Hi there, Mrs. Trossel here, back in the science lab again today. We are talking about life cycles. With this video comes a response sheet, so go ahead and pull up your response sheet so you are ready throughout this video. Today we are looking at the life cycles of butterflies and grasshoppers. The question we are trying to answer today are: how are the life cycles of a butterfly and a grasshopper similar to each other and different from each other? We're going to view this video.
Our science lesson today is on the life cycle of the butterfly. What do you know about butterflies? How does the life of a butterfly begin? A female butterfly lays her eggs on a leaf. A butterfly can lay up to 100 eggs. Sometimes they lay a bunch together. Other times they spread them among different leaves. The eggs look large in this picture, but they are actually about the size of a pinhead. What happens next? Stage 2. Usually, after about 4 days, some can take longer, the egg hatches into a tiny larva, a caterpillar. The job of the caterpillar is to eat constantly. The food it eats is stored in its body to be used later when it is an adult. While it is growing, the caterpillar will shed its skin several times. When the caterpillar is done growing, it stops eating and enters its next stage. Third stage of a butterfly's life cycle. Notice the covering that the caterpillar is spinning around itself.
Let's learn how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Caterpillars hatch from their eggs a few days after being laid and immediately begin eating. Almost all they do is eat, and after a week or two, the caterpillar is ready to begin its metamorphosis, or transformation. The caterpillar attaches itself to the underside of a stem or branch with a small mat of silk, and hangs upside down in the shape of a J. Inside its body, underneath its skin, the chrysalis is forming. It no longer needs its caterpillar skin, head, or legs, and so the chrysalis wiggles and twists until it splits and falls off. At first, the chrysalis is soft, but it soon hardens up to protect the developing butterfly inside. It takes about 2 weeks for the chrysalis to change into a butterfly. 2 weeks in which almost all of the caterpillar's body is dissolved into a kind of soup, which is remade into the shape of a butterfly. When the butterfly is ready to emerge, the color of its wings will be visible through the chrysalis. Let's watch another butterfly emerge from its chrysalis, this time more slowly. Once it's free of the chrysalis, the butterfly looks a bit strange. The wings are small, crumpled and wet, and its abdomen is swollen with fluid. The butterfly hangs upside down, pumping fluid into its wings to make them expand. Once the wings have reached their full size, The butterfly will wait until they are completely dry before flying off to find a flower to drink from. After a few days, the butterfly will mate, lay new eggs, and the cycle will start all over again.
If you will pull up your response sheet and go ahead and complete the butterfly section, you're going to name each stage in order and draw what happens. If you open in Cami, you can use the editing tools to draw and to insert text. So start with this top circle with the first stage, second stage, third stage, and fourth stage. You have a word bank over here to help you. The word bank is not in order. You have to put them in the correct order. Now we're going to look at the life cycle of a grasshopper.
What do you know about grasshoppers? The life cycle of a grasshopper. What do you think is the first stage? The egg. Does that sound familiar? This is the grasshopper laying its eggs. The eggs are really tiny. Look at them compared to a nickel. Each pod contains about 15 to 150 eggs. Can you believe this little pod right here has about 150 eggs? That is a lot of eggs. About 10 months later, the next stage begins. The nymph stage. A baby grasshopper is called a nymph. When a grasshopper comes out of the egg, it is white until it gets in the sun, and then it starts turning green. A nymph looks almost like an adult grasshopper, except it has no wings. The nymph will molt or grow out of its exoskeleton 5 times before becoming an adult. When growing the new exoskeleton, the nymph will puff itself up by blowing air in order to give itself room to grow for the next molt. So here on the life cycle, we have the eggs, and then they hatch, and here we have the first stage. Here we have the first molt, the second stage, nymph. It molts. Here's the third stage. It molts. In the fourth stage, it molts. In the fifth stage, molts one more time. And now it is an adult grasshopper. The last stage of the life cycle. The female finds a good place to lay her eggs about 1 to 2 weeks after becoming an adult. Then the life cycle begins all over again in 10 months.
The grasshopper has 3 stages: egg, nymph, adult. First stage, a grasshopper lays her egg in the soil. The second stage, nymphs hatch from the eggs. A nymph looks like an adult grasshopper, but it doesn't have wings. As it grows, a nymph sheds its outer body covering several times. Its wings become larger. Adult. The last shedding produces an adult grasshopper. Grasshopper life cycle. Egg, nymph, adult grasshopper. On your response sheet, you can complete the second part of the first page, life cycle of the grasshopper. You're going to name each stage and draw what happens.
Let's do a quick check on two organisms and their life cycles. First, we are going to start with the butterfly. The butterfly has a 4-stage life cycle. A butterfly starts its life as a small, round, oval or cylindrical egg. The egg shape depends on the type of butterfly. These eggs are usually found laid on the leaves of plants. The second stage is the larva stage. After the egg hatches, a larva or caterpillar comes out of it. During this stage, the larva mostly feeds and prepares for the next stage. The third stage is called pupa or chrysalis. Once the caterpillar is done growing and it has reached its full length and weight, the larva wraps itself into the pupa, which basically is a shield. On the last stage, the adult butterfly will emerge. The butterfly comes out from a compressed space and the wings won't be fully extended until it pumps blood into them. As soon as the butterfly comes out of the pupa, it will master how to fly in the next few hours. Once it knows how to do it, the butterfly will start the search for a mate and continue the reproduction process. Now we are going to check the life cycle of the grasshopper. The grasshopper has a 3-stage life cycle. The first stage is the egg. The grasshopper places its eggs into pods. These pods can contain up to 100 eggs inside. These pods are safely deposited inside the mud. During the second stage, when the eggs hatches, a small baby called nymph comes out of it. This nymph looks just like an adult grasshopper. However, it does not have wings. During the nymph stage, the grasshopper sheds its skin multiple times in order to grow and mature. It's during this process that the grasshopper also gets its wings. In the final stage, the grasshopper has become an adult grasshopper. The grasshopper develops long and powerful legs. After the grasshopper is fully mature, it searches for a partner to continue the life cycle.
Now you're going to complete your response sheet to compare and contrast these two life cycles. You're going to be using these starter sentences to help you form your complete sentences and your complete thoughts. In question number 1, you're answering, what do the two life cycles have in common? For that answer, you're going to use they both and then complete your sentence. How are the two life cycles alike? In the second sentence question, you're going to answer, how are the two life cycles different? So for that, you're going to use the starter sentence, the butterfly, something about the butterfly, but the grasshopper, and then something about the grasshopper. So find the differences and use that sentence starter to help you have a complete thought and a complete sentence. Then finally, in question 3, would there be any consequences if these insects did not have a life cycle? Explain your answer with evidence. So here you're thinking about the fact that these insects have a cycle of life. And what would happen if it wasn't a cycle? So we know that they start as an egg, they grow to an adulthood, they reproduce, and then they die. What would happen if it wasn't a cycle? Even though they have died, this cycle continues. So explain your thinking there on what would the consequences be if these insects did not have a life cycle. Thank you for joining me in our lesson on life cycles. Today we looked at the butterfly and the grasshopper. I've enjoyed our time together in science, and I'll see you next time.